Good evening, and welcome to this very special night honoring our winter sports athletes. To say it is a pleasure to be here would be an understatement. I am so pleased to share that this event is the first of what we hope will be many more in-person events. It is so wonderful to be able to welcome families back into our buildings. We have a special night planned for you tonight. Before we begin our accolades for our student athletes, there are some very important people that I need to thank. Joining me this evening, and you will be hearing from them shortly, are Portland teachers and counselor Joe Santaveneer, Mike Searson, and Michelle Ianello. These three individuals are the reason we were able to have a successful winter sports season. I always think it is important to publicly acknowledge hard work. And when that work is for the betterment of our kids, it is even more appreciated. These three staff members, in addition to their full-time teaching duties, came together to share the assignment of temporary athletic coordinator due to Mr. Serra's unanticipated medical leave. During the course of the winter season, and with very little notice from the CIAC and the Office of the Governor, they were responsible for designing and implementing COVID protocols, hiring coaches, working with our Shoreline Conference, arranging transportation, designing schedules, and managing the operations of our 5 winter teams. What many people didn't see, but I did each and every day, was their collective advocacy for the students and families of Portland. They were the prime negotiators for spectators at the basketball tournaments. They researched and installed the camera system in our gymnasium, and they were the greatest champions for any and all student needs. And their work continued into the spring season. Our softball team this year did not have enough players to confidently field a team. The athletic coordinators met with, established, and got approval for an emergency co-op for the interested players and saved their season. They were also instrumental in hiring not one, but 2 new tennis coaches and a middle school baseball coach. And they are currently working on adding girls volleyball for the fall. They're going to get mad at me if I keep going on, but you just need to know that I could. Please join me in thanking them from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the students at Portland High School. Our happy celebratory news continues, and I am very pleased to welcome back my colleague, Chris Serra, who has been able to rejoin us for the spring season. We are thrilled to have him back and eager for his leadership as we move forward through the spring season. Before I hand this over to the athletic coordinators, I just want to take one more moment to thank our student athletes. I think one thing this pandemic has taught us is to never take for granted the privileges we enjoy in life. To be able to play ball, wrestle, cheer, or run track was truly a surprise gift this year. Our students savored and appreciated it. They complied with safety protocols, screening forms, and a host of other rules and requirements, and never once did I hear a complaint. I am proud that they valued and respected the opportunity to play, and that they played as fierce competitors. This is a credit not only to them, but to our families as well. So much joy and community spirit comes from sports, and we in Portland were willing and able to come together in any way possible to support one another. This is what makes this town special. Once again, my sincerest appreciation and congratulations to our winter sports athletes and their families. This was very well done. I now turn it over to Mr. Searson.
So, as is the case with any athletic season, in order for it to start and end on a high note, in order for us to be able to deal with the day-to-day details and the curveballs that will undoubtedly pop up throughout a season, we have to rely on an entire team of people. And this year and this specific season, without question, we needed that team of people more than ever. So we just wanted to take a minute or two to thank some specific groups and individuals that led to this season being an incredible success. First of all, the student athletes. You all faced a very different kind of high school athletic experience than any of us were used to. You dealt with questions as to whether or not you would even have a season. You dealt with frustrations, schedule changes, and interruptions, all while being teenagers during a pandemic. Beyond that, you did all this while having to run, condition, cheer, play basketball with masks covering your face. Now, there was one point in my life where I may have considered myself a pretty all right athlete. However, the first time I tried to play basketball with a mask on, that theory was very quickly debunked. We are absolutely in awe of everything that you have all accomplished and what you've had to go through in order to accomplish it. So thank you, and we appreciate you. Coaches, you are definitely another group that has had to adapt in many ways this year. Along with teaching, motivating, and improving the student athletes, you also had to follow specific protocols and totally step outside your comfort zone of what coaching normally looks like. Thank you for all that you did and continue to do for these student athletes. Obviously, we owe a huge thanks to all the parents, but for very different reasons this year. We totally understand that a huge part of the positives of getting your children involved in athletics is actually getting to see them participate in athletics. And as we all know, that was not really possible this season. We want to thank you for your patience, your understanding, and your ability to still support each student athlete, even though they couldn't necessarily hear you voice that support during competition. Obviously, what we do and what they do would not be possible without you. It would be impossible to thank everyone and not give a huge shout out to Carl Johnson and the maintenance team, Linda Martin and the custodial team, Nancy Bordenero and Emma J. Buss. You were all constantly needed and you all delivered every single time. Thank you for your continued support. Our athletic trainer, Jill. I'm sure being an athletic trainer has its advantages and disadvantages. However, finding advantages in being an athletic trainer during COVID is probably pretty difficult. Jill has handled this year and everything that has come along with it like a seasoned pro. We appreciate her not only keeping the kids safe and healthy, but also making sure everyone is clear in terms of what needs to get done. So thank you, Jill. Trish Theobald, Linda Henry, and Kelly Young. Trish took on the role of organizing and making sure that all the awards were ready for tonight. So this night could not have gone on without her. Thank you for that, Trish. Linda and Kelly have both been consistently working in order to make sure everything runs smoothly, and we're always there to answer the questions that we could not. Jackson Decker, Owen Delisle, and JT DeGoda. For anyone who was fortunate enough to have viewed a basketball game from the comfort of your own home, you were most likely quickly drawn to the fact that we had our very own pseudo-celebrity announcers. Owen and Jackson were not only complimented by many Portland parents, but even drew attention from opposing parents who could not help but sing their praises. You also may have noticed that we had a correctly working scoreboard in the gym, which is directly due to JT Jagoda. If JT did not volunteer his time to show up at every single home game, I can say without question, we would have been using a rec league flip score at high school basketball games. Thank you to those three young men for giving us a huge positive this year. Also want to shout out Sideliners. As always, you guys were always there to support, give whatever we needed, and we could not have made this season happen without you. For those of you who were able to live stream basketball games, the reason that we were able to do that is Dylan, Nassar, and the tech team. They were able to make sure that the live stream was installed properly and continued to work it throughout the year. So thank you for that. Finally, when we took on this role as athletic coordinators, it was not something that just fell to us. It was something that fell to many of the admins in the district, specifically Kate Lawson, Chuck Hershon, Dr. Britton, Allison Hine. You guys were there to guide us. You guys were there to give us advice. And we appreciate everything that you have done for us. And we can officially apologize for the endless amount of phone calls, texts, and emails. But thank you. I'm going to hand it over to Michelle Iannello now.
So we really would like to make sure we're taking the time to express how much we are proud of everyone. And most of our teams were able to have an indoor, a senior night. So we wanted to take the opportunity to honor our indoor track seniors who did not weren't able to have an actual senior presentation during the 2021 season. We would like to thank our Sideliners who have provided something special to honor each of them and their families this evening. The coaches will be spending some more time with you, but we wanted to formally recognize Jackson Decker, Thomas Stoto, Connor Tatro, Julia Berthume, Lila De La Ronde, Veronica Candro, Katie Wright, and this has been a challenge for everyone. Although all of our teams were not able to compete as how they would liked. This winter season once again reaffirmed the importance of athletics and how it provides all of us with a much needed outlet. It emphasizes the importance of teamwork and working towards a common goal, regardless of how different those goals may have looked this season. So Mr. Santavenera is going to share a few highlights from each of our winter teams.
Girls basketball team. The girls basketball team made outstanding strides throughout the course of the 2021 season. The girls basketball team started the year off a little slow, however, finished the season extremely well, pulling off a win against Haddam Killingworth, as well as 2 tight games with Morgan and East Hampton, the 2 teams that would eventually meet in the Shoreline Championship. They also beat Old Saybrook in the Shoreline Tournament after losing to them earlier in the season. But the biggest success of this season was playing every day and staying healthy. The entire team and coaching staff are thankful for the opportunity to play this abbreviated season, and most importantly, so grateful that everyone stayed healthy. And this was a true representation of the girls and their effort following protocols both on and off the court. Great job, girls. Next, the boys basketball team. For the boys basketball team, this was a season of change, a season where players, families, and the community realized the potential of our boys basketball program. We saw significant changes in the culture of the team, a culture that's rooted in success and hard work, a culture that mirrors the people that make up this community. The team plans to continue their upward progress and take the next steps towards becoming a championship program and guiding these outstanding young men. Coach Bradbury's favorite win, actually my favorite win, was beating Cromwell in overtime, which was midway through the season. And I thought that was a clear statement that our program had made significant strides and we would be contending for a Shoreline title, not only in 2021, but in the future. So great job, boys. Next for the cheerleaders. The 2021 cheer season was anything but usual. The team was made up of 15 athletes whose primary focus was to support, encourage, and root for the varsity basketball teams. Getting together to learn fundamentals of cheerleading was an accomplishment in and of itself. The cheerleaders want to thank everyone involved who made the sideline cheer possible. And I know that I can speak for all of our varsity athletes, in particular our boys and girls basketball teams, who are so grateful having our cheer team there to encourage them. And it really seemed to provide a sense of normalcy to what was anything but a normal season. It also drowned out the coaches who were screaming at their kids, so that was always good too. Next, our wrestling team. Unfortunately, the wrestling team did not get to compete this year, but they did get to work on some wrestling-specific exercises, and do some live wrestling for the last week of the season. This team consists of a strong core of dedicated athletes showing up on a daily basis despite knowing that they were not going to be able to wrestle, something that they clearly wanted to do. A highlight of this season was to see new student athletes develop as leaders and see how the veteran wrestlers rallied around the first-year wrestlers. In a sport that appears largely individual, this group truly acted as a team. And I'd like to commend the wrestling team on their outstanding character and the fact that they showed up every day despite not knowing that they weren't going to be able to compete in matches. I really hope 2022 provides you an opportunity to once again compete. Thank you for all your hard work. Next, the indoor track team. As with all of our winter sports, this is certainly hasn't been a typical season for our indoor track team. 6 weeks of running, jumping, and throwing with masks on. And similar to our wrestling program, the indoor track team demonstrated their dedication by coming to train day in and day out with the uncertainty of whether or not they would be able to compete this winter. We were thrilled that team was able to compete in a tri-meet against Old Lyme and Hale Ray towards the end of the season. The girls edged out Old Lyme by 1 point, and then we easily overtook Hale Ray by a score of 48-8. The boys beat Old Lyme 49-46, and then they beat Hale Ray by over 20 points. In the Shoreline North Showcase meet, Portland competed against the top teams. The boys competed fiercely, medaling in 5 of their events and ultimately placing 4th. Our girls medaled in 10 events, and while placing 3rd in the North Championship, only missed second place by 1 point. The season brought personal records for Kayla Lamalfa, Connor Tatro, Ari Hetrick Rivera, Lila Delaron, Sean Laverty, Katie Wright, Jack Turasek, and Cole Bates. Given the shortened season, this is even a bigger accomplishment. The team this year, while dealing with unprecedented circumstances, still showed up for practice every day, running outside in the brutally cold weather with a positive attitude. The sprint team was relegated to one hallway in the school to practice, but every day they were making the best of it. The coaching staff and the entire athletic department are so proud of this team and these kids. Thank you for an outstanding season. Thanks to Mike, Michelle, and Kate for everything you guys have done. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone.